So, as with any of my videos, trigger warning potential. Don't know if I'll go into a panic attack or not. Can never predict these things. I try to put stuff in the description box. I typically cut and paste the same beginning message and then I add to it below that, depending on what needs to be said. I'm still recovering. Friday last week was very hard for me. I had an appointment, rendezvous, with the woman I call the anti-happy lady. Certain people get nicknames. That way it's easy for me to understand who's who and be able to explain what's happening without having to actually give their real name. Makes life easier. And she is very much the anti-happy lady. She's always traumatic. I've been with her for 1 year and 7 months. I don't really know what to call her because I don't know the American terms. But she's kind of like a social worker, only higher ranking. She basically controls my money, and she's doing a very bad job of it. I've had her for 1 year and 7 months, and right off the bat, from day one, she didn't pay attention to anything I had to say, didn't listen to anything I had to say, didn't pay attention to anything I sent in the emails. And then I went basically 10 months without being able to touch my own money to be able to buy food. And repeatedly, she wouldn't pay my phone bill. So I would be constantly losing half the month because it would take her forever to finally either pay the phone bill, or I'd have to wait for like one of my kids or my mom to pay it. And it was such a simple process, but she wasn't interested. And that went on for, well, the phone went on for longer. So many assumptions. But 10 months. At the time, my 21-year-old was paying for most of it. And he was paying for it out of the money that he got from a settlement when he got hit by a drunk driver. And it's 1 year and 7 months she's been with me, and she still hasn't figured out what it is that I'm supposed to be saying to be able to get that money back to him. Whatever happened to my money during that time period. And it was all because of administration problems. Paperwork wasn't done properly. And I told her right away, I can't go on the websites and fill out the information. They changed the information with the CAF, which is the welfare kind of system, I guess you could call it. And I didn't have anyone to walk me through it. I didn't have anyone to explain it, and it doesn't translate properly. And it times out. So if you try and start something and you don't understand it, you got to start over again. And then they changed how you log in, and my brain just couldn't. Too many panic attacks. I couldn't deal with it. I just couldn't. I am horribly triggered by anything that's in French because of all I've been through. And I try, but there's only so much I can do before my brain shuts down. And if I'm already being traumatized by bad people, potentially covert narcissists, who knows, it makes it worse. And she wasn't listening. She wasn't answering to emails. I'd see her 1.5 times, or like once every 1.5 months. She was almost never there. So if I called up and I needed something, she was on vacation or she was out sick, and she wouldn't tell anyone. Tons of points where she just lacked professionalism, lacked humanity as well. She'd constantly go, well, you need to see the reality of your situation. It's like, I'm living the reality of my situation. Oh, well, with your resources, then help me get more. Because it's been 10 years that I've been handicapped, but it's been 10 years that I haven't qualified as handicapped because I have no one to help. And every time I go to the doctors, I get humiliated to a point that I can't. And it's not a question of, oh, well, suck it up, buttercup. Because I'm sucking it up quite well, thank you. When you have intense, complex trauma that is ongoing, and they just keep perpetuating it. So I have a lot of toxic experiences with this woman, and I've specifically told her repeatedly that you can't just talk to me and have me remember. I can't hear over the phone. I have a problem where I can hear the high tones, I can hear the low tones, but the middle tones, especially if the phone doesn't, have a good sound system, speakerphone doesn't really help much, and I can't remember anything. And she just constantly digs in, repeatedly. She showed up at my house an hour early before she's supposed to be here, and I swear she does it on purpose at this point. But I've told her exactly what it is that I need. I need the information that we need to go over sent to me in an email. That way I can look at it. I can translate it. If I have questions, I can write them up. Because it's kind of like, how some students, they need that extra time for a test, so that way they can get out of the whatever it is that's blocking them, find the information, and give it out. I can't make in-the-moment decisions in French. And she just keeps forcing it, and she keeps forcing me to have panic attacks. One of the times that she was here, she just kept amping it up. She wouldn't de-escalate it, and she just kept forcing it. And she was really stressing both of my boys because she just wouldn't listen. And it got to the point where my head was on fire, and this was cold season, so it wasn't even that temperature-wise bad. And I had to scratch myself to... Actually, no, it was that direction, but I had to scratch myself just to switch gears, and I did it automatically. I didn't even think about it. But it was the only thing that could get me out of the trauma loop. And I shouldn't have to self-mutilate I shouldn't be pushed to that point, especially when I keep telling her, this is what's happening, this is why it's happening, please stop. And I've repeatedly asked, I've asked, I've begged, I've flat out stated I don't want to work with her. If she can't do her job right, I want someone else. I told her, switch me to someone else, or, get me the information so that I can, something. And finally, after 1 year and 7 months, I've finally been able to get the information of, who's in charge, what their title is, as well as their name. Because everybody here loves being professional and respectful, yet they don't necessarily give that. It's kind of hypocritical. So I finally got the information, the title, the name, the proper address. Finally, after 1 year and 7 months of being chronically tortured. And she takes credit for the things that I say. She takes credit for the things that I'm trying to put into place. And then she lies about it to the court. And it makes me look bad. And I get punished because she doesn't do her job. So, yeah. Lots of toxicity around her. And because of how 16 has been, he went through a period where he was just really, really suffering, and it was just too much. And when he found out some of the latest stuff that she was doing, and that she was going to be coming over, and he was like, no. It wouldn't have mattered either, because she needed the signature from my 21-year-old, who wouldn't have been here that day anyway, because he had to go and help out a friend for the morning part of the day, and then some later in the afternoon, but that didn't happen. But, for some medical stuff for her, who's handicapped as well. So he wouldn't have been there anyway. So we scheduled it so that I would go to her, even though I'd told her repeatedly that all she had to do was get a hold of my son. He was up in the town, often enough. He could come drop by the paperwork or sign new paperwork or whatever, and this dragged on for months. And it turns out that when we saw her in the office, and she's all being professional, not overly polite, but professional, because the last time she was overly polite and it was just so fake. And I'm already roasting. I have to wear a mask because of the sinus infection, plus I'm not vaccinated, and I can't be. Not until I have, proper checks and stuff like that. Plus I have too many things that would cause me damage anyway. So anyway, and it's not an anti-vaxxer thing, so get that out of your head. But it's already hot. I'm wearing a mask. We end up in this office that is just completely closed in. There's no ventilation. Um, and I can't sit down because the chairs are the plasticky kind, and that really hurts my back because I have scoliosis in the lower part of my spine. Um, and I've got hip displacement, so certain types of chairs I can't sit in. I just can't. So I stood there, and it's getting hotter and hotter. I can't focus. She's trying to get me to engage with her, and she's doing it these little petty kind of game playing like an 11-year-old would do, trying to trigger me into like reacting to something. Oh, well, you probably just forgot. I was like, no, I didn't forget. I've been busy keeping my kid alive. I've been busy trying to deal with the trauma that you keep causing. And this is the first time I find out that the entire year I haven't been getting full of benefits, and so my rent has been properly paid, and she's been taking money out of the funds that I got from it was supposed to be half the house between me and my ex, but because I got screwed over with the notary and the courts and no one translating anything, I only got like roughly a fourth of what I was supposed to get. So she's been, using that, and I can't read any of the paperwork she gives me, so I can't follow it. And she only wants to educate me when she knows that I'm there and I can't function. I told her exactly what my schooling type of needs are, what type of communication needs are, and that I have all kinds of undiagnosed learning disabilities because of the damage. And if I don't have someone to go with me to the doctors and make sure that I'm safe, not just, like emotionally, but physically, because of the horrible physical abuse I've been through. And she's just not interested. And so she wants to do everything when there's no record of it. And she keeps pushing me and trying to get me to cause a scene and have some kind of hissy fit, like it's some kind of game. And it's like, this is my brain you're playing with. And I'm just getting more and more hot, and I just can't function. Finally, and she's dragging it out. She's just totally dragging it out. And finally, I can get outside, and I'm just like stumbling out the door. And because it's the secretary has to keep the door locked, she has to unlock the door, and she's standing there while my son's waiting for the anti-happy lady to get the paperwork printed out. And I'm just like practically trying my best not to pass out. I mean, I've got an ice pack on me because we brought some with us just in case. And I'm trying so hard not to pass out. And I'm explaining to the lady, and the lady's seeing me for the first time. She's talked with me before, only just now realizing who I am. And I'm just like, and she's seeing this isn't fake. I mean, my heartbeat was high. Everything felt like it was on fire. And the main reason I had to go up there, to make sure that my son could sign the paperwork, was because my other son, if she'd have traumatized him, if she'd have triggered him, which she's really good at triggering both of us, well, all three of us, he was at the point where he'd just reach out and beat her. And it's like, no, we're not doing that. With everything that she's done or hasn't done or whatever, she deserves to be fired. She deserves to be retrained. She deserves to be fined and punished or potentially put in jail. Because I seriously wonder what kind of crap she's up to behind the scenes. And if she's doing this to me and thinking I'm naive just because I can't function in French, I'm not stupid in English. And, it makes me wonder what kind of fraud she's doing, because she's definitely using abuse of power. It's just so much. And I'm not going to let him beat her. She doesn't deserve that. And that's the stage that we're at. Or he's just like, he's done with all the power tripping that people do here. And so that was bad. And then we had to go out grocery shopping. And that was interesting. The first store was okay. But then when we got to the second store, good old Super U. Yeah, we should have avoided that one and just gone to the smaller one that's closer. But it was on the way home. And I needed to get some last minute items. And for whatever reason, my card wasn't going through, even though I had money on it. And so we're trying to get it. So it's like, okay, well then we need to whittle it down to €50 because that's all I had in cash on me. And we get, passed over to the manager, and the manager is this one lady who I've had previous experiences with, and she's evil. I mean, she targets the poor. She targets the teenagers. Now, some of the teenagers do deserve it because they're little, POSs. It's that age. This is half country by the where that location is. So city's close enough, country is the rest of it, countryside, whatever. And she used to give my oldest all kinds of trouble, and he wouldn't take it. But because of the fact that I'm wearing my hat, I'm wearing my mask, good chance she doesn't recognize who I am. I'm with a different kid who looks roughly like the age of being my boyfriend, as opposed to me being in my 40s, him being 21. She's just given all kinds of toxic energy, and she's just forcing me to go faster and faster, and to like make decisions. And I'm like, I am about ready to pass out. I almost passed out at least 5 times in the first supermarket that actually had some air conditioning. And then several times again at this supermarket, at the Super U. And she's just forcing it and forcing it. And she's like making everything worse. And I'm trying to tell her, look, I had a stroke. I can't think right now. I need you to stop. I need you to stop pressuring me. I need you to back off. I need you to just give me a second to calm my brain. Because, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Forcefully grab her wrist, shove it onto my head so she can feel how hot I am, put it on the side of my neck, and then show her, what my BP is. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Physically assault her so that she'll pay attention? And she's going, yeah, I know, you had a stroke. I know. I'm not looking for pity. I'm not looking for preferential treatment. I'm just looking for you to shut up for 5 seconds and understand how close I am to needing the hospital. Not preferential treatment, but trying to avoid throwing up on you and passing out on your floor and potentially damaging my brain more, or potentially having another stroke in your establishment. I'm not looking for anything other than comprehension and, a modicum of kindness. And it's like, what do I have to do to get that? And I got through it. More humiliation. Fun. And finally get home hours after it should have been, because there's just one problem after another. And it took me days of sleeping as much as I could, which was basically a nap here, a nap there, another nap. Almost every day since Friday has been nothing but like 3 naps a day. And I mean, my eyes were dilated. If anyone had come over and you looked me in the eyes, they'd have gone, "Are you high?" Because I've had people do that to me before. One was a cop that I was semi-dating. And I was just like, no, I'm not high. I'm having panic attacks. I've got vascular issues. Damn near ready to have another stroke. And just, I need to get out of here. I need help to get these people to comprehend I'm not some small-time idiot. I'm not, what they call the rakai. The wish, rakai. I'm so cool, They want to be old school. They want to be like, they love their rap. And they can be very trashy. I mean, American terms, I call them ghetto. Nothing against folks that live there, that grow up in that. That's the terminology. And they get treated really badly. And so they just keep perpetuating it. Bellevue 13, I think is what it's called. District 13, maybe, in English. That would kind of explain it a little bit. Kind of. It's got some good parkour moves. But they're very, very hardcore against anyone who's not dressed up proper. Your hair has to be just right. Your clothing has to be just right. Oh, your bank account has to be just right, too. Oh, Swearing? Did you swear? God forbid. And so I get seen as anything other than what I am. And so, yeah, it took days to recover, and I'm still not recovered. And it's been hot. So that's why I haven't been posting. It's just been too much. My head still hurts. But at least I haven't passed out. And I've done my best to not make a scene. And I'm just tired of this. So I'm going to have to report the anti-happy lady, and I'm going to finally report the one manager, because I'm tired of her. If she's doing that to me again, who else is she doing it to? So I guess I'm blowing whistles on all kinds of people. I'm doing it alone. So yeah, that's where I've been. And I'm tired. Even when I've been getting to sleep, it's like, 15 minutes of deep sleep here, maybe 30 minutes there, maybe 8 minutes another time. That's not enough. It's not enough to function and to be able to do the dishes and take care of the garden and do anything. I'm not getting the help I need from the people who are supposed to give it. So, yeah, that's where I've been. I'm not okay, but I will be. Don't have much of a choice. So, yeah, thanks for listening.